At 14,410 feet above sea level, I have to pause for breath between each plodding step as I reach the crest of Mount Ranier, the highest point in the Cascade Range. I've climbed this huge volcano many times over the past 30 years, for fun, for exercise, for escape from the urban grind. On this occasion, however, the impetus is morbid curiosity. Recent geological reports have suggested that Ranier poses a serious threat to thousands of people who live in the shadow of the mountain, as I do, even if it does not erupt. My hope is that this ascent will shed a little light on the matter. 2 days of strenuous effort were required to reach the top. Now a surly wind is screaming across the summit crater, flash freezing the skin on my face and turning my mittened hands into blocks of ice. Before my eyes is a swath of country that stretches from Canada to central Oregon, some 200 miles away. Scanning the craggy spine of the Cascades, one can't help noticing that this corner of the planet is lousy with volcanoes. From this lofty vantage, I count no fewer than 9 of them. The most riveting, and most notorious, is Mount St. Helens, whose truncated cone squats immediately to the southwest. At the moment, its yawning crater is belching a plume of steam high into the troposphere, a gentle admonition that St. Helens, along with some 24 other Cascade peaks, is very much an active volcano. On Sunday, May 18, 1980, shortly before 9 o'clock in the morning, I happened to look up from a commercial salmon net I was mending on a dock in Gig Harbor, Washington, and saw what appeared to be a massive cumulonimbus cloud boiling toward the heavens, where a moment earlier there had been nothing but blue sky. Unbeknownst to me, multiple simultaneous avalanches had just carried millions of tons of rock and ice off the top of Mount St. Helens, suddenly removing the geologic lid that had enabled the mountain to contain the molten rock and superheated steam within. The resulting explosion obliterated the upper 1,300 feet of the volcano and sent it hurtling into the sky. The blast devastated plant and animal life for 150 square miles. The cloud of ash that caught my eye soared to a height of more than 60,000 feet, turning day to night across much of Washington, and scattered 540 million tons of volcanic debris across the western United States. 57 people were killed, a remarkably small number considering the violence of the eruption. The death toll was so low due to evacuation measures, and because the mountain's rugged environs were sparsely populated and largely undeveloped. 15 years later, as I regard the scenery from atop Mount Ranier, the merest glance between my boots suggests that the consequences could be much more dire when it is this peak's turn to blow. Hard to the northwest sprawl Tacoma, Seattle, and their myriad suburbs. I can plainly make out the Space Needle, skyscrapers in downtown Seattle, and 747s touching down at SeaTac Airport. Given that Ranier has erupted numerous times in the past, most recently just 150 years ago, the proximity of so much humanity is troubling. Geologists warn that there is no way of knowing when the mountain will blow again. It could go off in 10 years or not for 10,000. But blow it will, eventually. Hunkered on the crest of Ranier, watching freighters and ferry boats ply the dazzling waters of Puget Sound, it is easy to imagine that the volcano is ready to erupt at any moment. The rim of the summit crater is riddled with fumaroles, actively venting hot gases from the bowels of the earth, filling my nostrils with their pungent sulfurous aroma. Even though the air temperature is well below freezing and most of the rest of the mountain wears a carapace of glacial ice hundreds of feet thick, the rocky ground beneath me is utterly bare of snow and disturbingly warm to the touch. Scientists have recorded surface temperatures on the crater rim as high as 176 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat I feel through my insulated trousers makes it impossible to forget that somewhere not too far below lies a reservoir of fidgety, red-hot magma, itching to elbow its way to daylight.